You sleep enough. You handle your responsibilities. You try to eat better. You cut some bad habits. You become more disciplined. And still, by the middle of the day, something feels wrong. You're not falling apart. You're functioning. But everything feels heavier than it should. Simple tasks ask for too much. A quiet evening helps a little, but the next morning you still wake up flat. If that keeps happening, you usually make the same mistake. You assume the answer is more effort, more discipline, more control, more pushing. And that is often the very thing that keeps you low. By the end of this video, you'll see why doing the right things on the outside does not always bring your energy back, what hidden mismatch keeps draining you, and how to recognize it before it becomes your normal. Here is the mistake. Most people think energy returns as soon as behavior improves. But behavior is only the surface. You can fix your schedule while your body still lives in pressure. You can clean up your habits while your mind still expects struggle. You can do everything right and still move through the day like the brake is half on. That is why two people can do almost the same things and get different results. One sleeps and wakes up clearer. The other sleeps and wakes up dull. One takes a night off and actually resets. The other takes the same night off and still feels spent the next morning. So the real question is not only, what are you doing? It is, what state are you living in while you do it? That part gets ignored all the time. Modern advice is usually built around visible correction. Better routines, better planning, better consistency, better self-control. Useful things, necessary things. But none of that explains why a person can become more organized and less alive at the same time. And you've seen this. Someone gets more efficient, more structured, more responsible, and yet they feel less bright, less warm, less present. Why? Because order is not the same thing as restoration. You can build a clean life on top of a tired nervous system. You can run a solid routine while carrying quiet resentment all day. You can become disciplined while still waking up every morning, already braced for effort. And when that happens, your structure does not feed you. It manages you. That is the difference. Let's make it plain. When someone says, "I'm doing everything right," what do they usually mean? They mean, "I'm showing up. I'm being responsible. I'm trying not to waste my time. I'm keeping myself together." Fair enough. But what happens underneath that? Maybe every task is done with silent pressure. Maybe every choice is watched and judged. Maybe the whole day is held together by inner tightness. From the outside, that person looks disciplined. From the inside, they never fully stop pushing. And a person who never stops pushing can become exhausted even inside a good routine. That is the turning point. Your life force does not rise just because your habits look better. It rises when your inner state stops fighting the life you are trying to build. That is where people get confused. They think low energy always means they are doing something obviously wrong. Sometimes that's true, but often the problem is not a visible mistake. It is a repeated inner pattern. The same emotional tone every morning. The same pressure behind every task. The same private story. I'm behind. I have to push. I can't let go yet. That pattern matters. Because the body listens to repetition. If you spend enough days moving through life with tension in the background, the tension stops feeling temporary. It starts feeling normal. And then you call it your personality, or adulthood, or responsibility. But it is still a drain. Here's a direct question. Have you ever gone through a phase where you were technically doing better, but somehow feeling worse? Better routine, better choices, less chaos, and still more heaviness. That is the clue. Because life force is not only drained by excess, it is also drained by contradiction. When your outer life says, "I'm repairing," but your inner state says, "Nothing is changing," the system splits. One part of you is trying to move forward. Another part is still stuck in strain. That split is expensive. It wastes energy all day long. And this is where the next layer matters. The picture you carry of yourself changes the way you move through the day. Not in a mystical slogan sense, in a practical sense. What do you quietly expect from yourself? To recover? To hold everything together? To stay one mistake away from falling behind? To force your way through every low day? That expectation changes the tone of your actions. A person who secretly sees himself as someone who must always push will turn even rest into another task. A person who quietly believes he is already drained will read every neutral moment through fatigue. That is why some people cannot feel better even when conditions improve. The room's quiet. The schedule is better. The body is finally lying down. But the inner pressure is still on. And if the pressure is still on, the body never gets the full message that it is safe to restore. That may be the most important line in this video. You do not always stay tired because you are doing too little. Sometimes you stay tired because the part of you that is supposed to receive rest never stops preparing for effort. Now pause and notice where we are. So far, the point is simple. Doing the right things is not enough if you are doing them from a state of pressure, self-surveillance, or quiet defeat. So how do you spot the mismatch early? There are 3 signs. First, nothing reaches you. You finish things, but nothing feels satisfying. You take a break, but nothing feels refreshing. You improve your habits, but nothing feels lighter. That usually means your outer actions are changing faster than your inner state. Second, you feel tired even in ordinary moments. Not only during a crisis, not only after a bad day, just during normal life. That tells you the drain is no longer tied to one event. It has become the background. Third, you keep trying to solve it with more force, more rules, more discipline, more optimization. That feels smart, but often it proves you still think the problem is mechanical. Sometimes it isn't. Sometimes the real issue is that your whole day is being carried by pressure. And pressure can imitate responsibility so well that you stop noticing the cost. So what changes it? Not pretending you are fine. Not building a new identity around healing. Not turning recovery into another performance. What changes it is seeing the contradiction clearly. Seeing where your habits improved, but your mind still expects struggle. Seeing where your schedule is stable, but your body still moves like it is under threat. Seeing where your life looks better, but every action is still carried by tension. Once you see that, the problem becomes precise. You stop asking, why am I still failing? And you start asking, what in me keeps turning repair into effort? That is a better question. Because now you are looking at the real leak. So if you have been doing many things right and still feeling low, do not rush to call yourself weak, lazy, or broken. Look at the pressure beneath the discipline. Look at the story beneath the routine. Look at the tension you keep calling normal. If this gave language to something you've been living, like the video and subscribe. You are not always tired because life is asking too much. Sometimes you are tired because your inner state keeps undoing what your outer life is trying to repair.